webinar full today up on our website. So if you have any questions, again, please go ahead and feel free to put them in the question box, and I'll try to get to them. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Today's agenda, what we're going to cover, as I mentioned earlier, I sent out the pre-survey link, so thank you if you've already filled that out. It's a real short questionnaire. We're going to talk about some tips for success. I'm going to go over what's new in ETO. We'll talk about navigating the dashboards, recording, editing, and saving some touch points. We're also going to take a look at populating responses from a previous year, how to set identifiers. We'll take a look at some online resources, and then we'll do a little post survey to see if there's anything that you would like to see during the next training. And once again, I'll post all this information online. So one quick thing I'd like to say, some tips for success is you really want to make sure that you kind of compile your data before entering it in ETO. You want to involve your funded partners in the process. Don't wait until the last minute to enter your data. I know sometimes that's easier said than done. You want to visit the OCAP extranet for some resources, and I'll be showing you that link. We've got some new things up there that I think are really helpful for you guys. We have glossary of terms, we have fact sheets, we have a user guide. I've posted 5 or 6 new training videos, and then we also have the service activity and funding stream Excel template in a blank format if you'd like to email that to your service providers or have a copy for printout, along with some really new reports that might make your life a little bit easier during the reporting time frame. Okay, some important dates to know is ETO typically opens July 1st of each year, and the deadline for submitting is September 30th at 5 o'clock. So just a friendly reminder that we want to make sure that everything gets put in by that time frame. Otherwise, some of the data that we collect, if we don't have it all, it could result in a delay of some of the allocations. Okay, so we want to make sure that we can get that in as soon as possible. Okay, if you do have any trouble, with anything, I'm going to show you a screen next here of who you can contact for some help. This is your consultant. So if you're new to ETO or you've taken over for somebody else, this chart will give you the name and email address and telephone number of your assigned consultant that can help you fill out these, what we call touch points. So anything county related about how to spend the funding, things like that, you can address to your consultant. If you have technical questions, logging in, or something's not working, you're not seeing where you need to go, you need to print a report, you can contact me, and there's my information at the bottom of the screen for you. Okay. All right. And again, this information is on the website, which I'll be showing you. So before I get started, just want to make sure that if anybody has anything, login issues, logging into ETO, we're all up to speed. What I would ask you to do right now, if you're not already, go ahead and log into ETO and just kind of hang out there on that first My Dashboard page. And like I said, I'll be going sort of back and forth between my PowerPoint and doing some live demos. So I just want to make sure everybody can log in. And if there's any issues, we can address those, or I can handle those offline. Okay. All right, and someone wrote a question in right now. There's no phone number for the southern region, and I will get that information for you. This is actually one of our very newest P&D consultants. Her name is Alexis, and she just joined P&D this week or last week, so I'll be updating that information and make sure that you guys get it, and I'll update this on our website as well. Okay. All right, so moving on. Oops, what's new this year? One thing, let me try this, you guys. I want to just launch a quick quick poll here. I'm going to see how many people are brand new to ETO this year, if I can do this. So let me see. Or what I could actually do is, let me try this. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. So let me just ask you by raising your hand. Oh, here we go. I guess it did launch. It's not showing for me. So basically you have no knowledge, somewhat knowledge, or very knowledgeable. Just again, so I can see if I, need to start out with, going over basics or, kind of keep the speed middle of the range. And so thank you for participating and answering those. I'll give it a few more minutes. And while you guys are answering that quick poll, I'll see if there's any other questions. Okay, and I see that Jody, you have not been assigned a login. Sure, so just follow along, and if you have time and you want to hang out after the call, I can get you set up, or we can email, and we can also set up a one-on-one for anybody actually that would like a little bit more of a one-on-one sort of demonstration. So that's totally fine to do. Okay, perfect. So it looks like we're about the middle of the road. So about 35% no knowledge at all, which is totally fine. About 55% about mid-range or somewhat, and then 14 are very knowledgeable. So that's terrific. That's really good to know, and I'll do my best to, kind of keep the pace where I don't go too fast and I don't go too slow. So, all right. So yeah, keep sending. If you have new analysts coming in and getting more questions in, just email me or hang out after the call, and I will get whoever's new and doesn't have a login all set up, and we'll go from there. All right, sounds great. So I'm going to go ahead and close this poll. So thank you guys for entering your data. It looks like a couple people are still voting, so I'll leave this open just for a few more minutes, or a minute or so. And then we'll get on to what's new in ETO. Okay, I think all the responses are in. I'm going to go ahead and close that poll, so thank you again. All right, perfect. And I just went ahead and shared the results, so hopefully you can see them. I'm not seeing them in my end, but looks like you can view them. All right, I'll go ahead and hide that. I'm going to close that out, and we're going to get back to what's new in ETO this year. So when you first log into ETO, you're going to be on the My Dashboard page, and you're going to see that your name right up here where I'm kind of circling my mouse, this is going to be your name. I'm logged in right now in this example as Karen Fake. Oh, you can't see the screen? Sorry, guys. How about now? Are we good? Everybody can see my screen with the PowerPoint. Can you raise your hands? Let me know. Perfect. Thank you, guys. All right. So now that we're on the My Dashboard page, there's a couple of things that are new this year. No information is new. I might have reorganized things a little bit, but there's nothing brand new that you will be expected to collect. One thing that I want to mention before I start too is that the developers of ETO, Social Solutions, what's new also from them is that there's only going to be one user allowed at a time. What that means is that if somebody else is using your login and you're in at the same time, somebody will get booted off the system. So I just wanted to make you guys aware of that, just in case you find yourself, getting booted off or whatever. So just keep in mind one user at a time. And I think that was on your dashboard message from Social Solutions. But if not, just know that that's a change that they are making in the very near future if they haven't already. Okay. So now we're back on the My Dashboard page, and you'll notice at the top of the screen that I've added these little buttons here. And these are some reports that I thought would be really, really helpful for you guys to run to assist you in creating your annual report and entering these responses. And we're going to do sort of a live demo of each of these because I think they can be really helpful, especially if you're a new user. So we have the annual report summary. And what I would recommend is running this report maybe before and then also after you complete your report. It doesn't give you a list of every question, but it gives you an overview of what you've done from the previous year, and then you can sort of compare it to what you've put in this year. They should look fairly similar. I also have included something called the Quality Assurance Report. And this is something that at a glance you can sort of look at and tell when the last time a touch point, and what a touch point is, it's just like a form, has been entered. So if you notice there's a touch point that hasn't been entered since 2015 or 2016, it's just a good indicator that, okay, this might need to be updated or nobody's done that since then, and it's just a quality control report. There's also the previous year's data report, and what this will do by running this report, you can see what was entered last year with all the required touch points for ETO. And the cool thing about any of these reports is you can export them as a PDF, as a text file, or even as an Excel document. So this can be helpful if you want to print it out and have it handy while you're entering your data. You can see everything and sort of, at a glance. Then we have the online resources, which takes you to our website that shows you those training videos, some of the other tools to help you fill out this annual report. And I'll take you there in just a moment. And then also printing any of the blank touch points. So if you wanted to print any one of, I think there's 10 total, you can go in and just print out a copy of a blank touch point, any one of them, and again, export them in any file format, Excel, PDF, text, etc. Okay. So that's kind of new this year, so I'm really excited about that, just to kind of help you get started. So let's take a look at these reports before we actually get into the touch points. So I'm going to switch here, minimize this, and I'm going to go to my actual ETO dashboard. And once again, you can see that I'm logged in here in the upper right corner as Karen Fake. Now your dashboard is going to look different than mine. So I have these reports at the top, which everybody should have. These touch points down below are only going to show touch points that you yourself have entered. So if you've never entered any touch point, of course, these are going to be blank. Okay. Now that doesn't mean you can't see all the data. That just means that you only see the data you yourself has entered. And I'm going to show you how to navigate these dashboards in the next segment. But what I'd like to do now is kind of show you how to run these reports. So the first one, I'll just go left to right, is the annual summary report. And like I mentioned, this one just gives you a snapshot of what you've done in the previous year. So I'm going to give that a click. It's going to open up in a new window. Now what you want to be sure of too is that your pop-up blocker is not turned on, because it will block this from coming up. So here, this is the annual summary report. I see that it's for 2017-18, and this is for Fake County. So in this case, I'm probably not going to use too much of the 2017-18 data for your counties. I don't know that a lot of data would be available to show, but I've put in some sample data for Fake County. So here you can see the allocation. So for Fake County, if I had capit funds, they'd show here. I put in some fake amount for CB-CAP and I didn't put anything in there. But if I did, it would show here the different funding streams, the total funding I've received for this specific year, whether I accepted the terms and conditions, if I entered any birth certificate fees, and these are all separate touch points. These are just sort of snapshot. This is a breakdown of the annual expenditures over here. And then this over here shows me a summary of the services and the counts that I entered in for 2017-18. Now, one thing that's new this year too that I'd like to point out, last year we collected data by individuals served and families served. Individuals served were considered children and parents. So this year what's new is we've separated those out. It's either children or parents or families. If you look at this report and you click at the bottom here where it says 2018, just to kind of show you how this report will look for this year, same information over here on the left, but on the right-hand side, you can see that for 2017-18, I have children served, I have parents, and then I have families. So that'll be a little bit different this year, same information, just breaking it down a little bit differently. I'll go over that in more detail when we get into the actual recording of the touch point. Now, I'm going to go back to prior to 2017, I'm sorry, to the other tab here because this shows only individuals and families. Now, if you wanted to see your specific county, what you need to do is come over here in the left-hand side. You want to click on this user prompt. It's got the little question mark here. And if you wanted to see 2017-18, or let's say 2016-17, I could type that in. You want to pay attention to this format. So 2016, a 4-digit year, -17, and then you just type in your county name, and then you can either press enter or click the run button at the top, and then it'll populate. You can see here I used Inyo County, 2016-17, and here's a snapshot of that. So again, this is just kind of a good practice to see overall where your funding was, what you spent, what services, and the individuals that were served and the families served, if any. Okay? So before I go away from this report, I want to show you how to export any one of these reports here that you might run. At the very top of your screen, kind of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th button in, you'll see this little export. Looks like a little disk with an arrow. And if you give that a click, it'll open up the export dialog box. You can see select reports, data, all. These are just the different tabs that are in the report. You can leave them all selected. If you don't need the 2018, you can just deselect it. File type, you can choose PDF, Excel, CSV, or text. And the question came up earlier about what's the difference between the Excel. The top one, XLSX, is just the newer version of Excel. If you have an older version, you want to choose the XLS version. So just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to go ahead and choose Excel. Any of these other options can just be left at their default. I'm going to click OK. Depending on your browser, I think I'm using Chrome right now, but Chrome usually will put it in the bottom left. You can see here's the report, and it's going to give me an option if I'd like to open or save it. I chose open, and this is what it looks like. So again, I can edit and modify, I can save it, I can email, do whatever I want, just like an Excel document. One thing to note too, though, when you do export, it does not export actual formulas. So if you were to change anything in the document, let's say I just wanted to see, well, what would happen if I put 20,000 in here? These will not update. The formulas are relative to just ETO. They don't use regular Excel formulas, but you could just take those out and plug in your own formula. Okay. So annual report summary. Does anybody have any questions about this report before I move on to the next item. Okay. All right, so I don't see any questions coming in. And again, you can just simply type it in the question box. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next report. So I'll close this out and go back to my dashboard. So the next report is called a Quality Assurance Report. And again, I just click on that. It's going to open up in a new browser. And this one, you can either run and see everything, or you can run it just by specific counties. So typically, I would think that it's more of the P&D consultants to kind of do a fact check on this. So here, what we have, once it pops up, it says most recent recorded touch points. So yellow indicates missing data. So what this means, the first tab here is called the comprehensive table. So we have everything by region over here on the left-hand side, and we have the specific counties over on the secondary column. Across the top, these are all the touch points. So they're, I believe, in alphabetical order. So we have the CAPC touch point, CAP month, County Children's Trust Fund, allocations, etc., across the top. Now it ends here at terms and conditions, and if you wanted to navigate to the next page, down here in sort of the right-hand side, you can see page 1 of, and the little 1+ indicates there's more pages. So if I click on this, you can see that it goes to the next pages and shows the other regions. So let me just go back to the first page. So to kind of explain what this is intended to do, if I'm looking at the first page and I'm looking at this here under Child Abuse Prevention Month, where there's no date at all next to Santa Clara. So what this indicates to me is there has never been a touch point recorded for this particular CAPC. Now on the other side, if I look here for county need, and I'm looking here at this 10/28/15 for Mendocino, the last time a touch point was ended on Mendocino's behalf was in 2015. Now that doesn't always mean that's a red flag or something. Maybe the county needs have not changed since then. And again, this is just to give a visual quality control check to see when was the last time a touch point has been updated. Okay. Now that's a comprehensive table. If you wanted to go to the next tab down below, you could see section by county. And this is by date, and then we have this by different areas. So Bay areas, and again, cycling through the touch points by clicking through the pages to go next, and so on. Okay. All right, and again, the same method. You can export this as a PDF or as an Excel file. There's no user prompts or anything like this that you need to put in. This data will be automatically populated every time it's run. So any questions about this report? This is the quality control report. Any questions? Okay, don't see any. All right. So we'll move along here. I'll close this out, and if you think of them later, by all means, feel free to send your questions to me later. All right, moving on. This is probably one of the most popular reports, previous year's data, and you can do any year for that matter. So if I wanted to see, well, I wasn't here last year, I forgot, what did I run, what did I put in last year, and get everything in one file. So I'm going to click on this. And there's a couple of prompts that you'll need to enter for this one, such as the county and the dates that you want to see. So I'll show you where to do that. All right, so this box here, this one in the middle here, there's 3 prompts. Prompts are on the left-hand side, so you have to choose your county, and then you have to choose the dates that you want to run the report. So I'm going to go ahead and just choose a county. I just picked San Joaquin. You can double click or just click once and hit the arrow button over. You can also, down here where the little binoculars are, you can just type in a county name and search for it pretty quickly. So I'm looking at San Joaquin. Then I'm going to choose a begin date. And typically, like I mentioned, let's do 2017 for last year. Typically, like I said, the reports start on July 1st, 2017, and end date. I know the reports are due in September of that year, but I'm just going to go ahead and make it to December 31st, just in case there was an additional edit made after the due date or something like that. Okay, so there's my name and my date range, and I'm going to click the OK button. This box pops up, retrieving data. Just ignore that. That's something on the technical side that if something wasn't answered, it comes up, but it has no bearing on any of your report submissions, so just ignore that. So here we have the annual reports. Here's my date range, and then we also have the name of the touch point here in bright blue, and you can see who updated, when it was taking, what the questions were, and again, you can cycle through all of the pages by clicking on the next button. And typically these can be a little bit long, so most people like to export these as an Excel file. So I'll do that one more time and show you what it looks like when you export the annual report responses. So I'm going to click on the export button. I'd like an Excel file, and all the other defaults are fine, and I'm going to click OK. So I'll go ahead and open that, and here's what it looks like. So the whole report is going to just be one kind of long worksheet in Excel. So now I can go ahead and scroll down, and some of the boxes, you know, you may have to expand to see all of the data. But this is a nice way that you can send this to service providers. You can print it out, see what was done last year. You can copy and paste information if it's going to be the same. But there is a better way. Rather than copying, pasting information from an Excel file, you can pre-populate this year's response with a previous year's response, which can save you a lot of time. And I'll show you how to do that in just a few moments. So then we get down to the service activity and funding stream, and you can just kind of see how that will all look. And this gives every answer based on a date range and individual county. Okay. All right. So any questions about the annual report responses before I move on to the next section? Okay, terrific. I'll leave this. I'm going to go back to the My Dashboard page. Online resources. This is really cool, you guys. The P&D staff and new manager Hillary Conrad has spent a lot of time making things as easy as possible for you this year with ETO, and have created some tools to help you with your reporting. So I'm going to click on the online resources. And it's going to take you to the County Liaisons page here. And this is just a link from our website. It's under, if you go to our OCAP homepage, it's on the County Liaisons and ETO users. But right here, you have a link to the ETO login site. You have that blank service activity and funding stream template. This is the one I was mentioning earlier. So if you don't want to run it through ETO and you just want a blank Excel one, you can download this. We have the ETO terms and conditions. They're in ETO, but they're also in a PDF format, so you can print them out, take a look at them before you agree. We have a user guide that's been updated to reflect the new changes. We also have an annual report checklist that. Let me click on this just to kind of show you a sample. So this was created just to make sure that you can kind of go down a list and check off things that you need to do. Very helpful information. It's in PDF, so you can download it. Make sure that you have everything that you need and understand which touch points need to be completed for the annual report. Okay, so very helpful. And then the training videos that I was mentioning, these are very short tutorials. How to print last year's data, print a blank touch point, record a blank touch point, populate with previous year data, and edit an existing touch point. So if you just need a quick fix and you don't want to listen to a whole hour-and-a-half webinar, check out some of these videos, and if you have a request for other videos, please send them my way and I'll be happy to make some more and post them up on our site for you. And then we also have some program and evaluation descriptions. We have in PDF and Word, we have the funding streams evaluation. We also have a facts page that's really helpful with regards to some of the funding streams, and at the very end of this document, we also have your P&D consultants and who they are, okay? And someone asked earlier for the Southern region. Let me verify this too. I'm not sure that's the right number, so I will make sure that's the correct number. I think I populated before a start date, so I'll double check. But there you go with regards to resources, so very, very helpful. And if you all have any suggestions on anything you'd like to see in the future, please send them my way. We'll be happy to do whatever we can to, you know, give you the tools that you need to be successful when creating this report. All right, and then moving on to the last blank touch point section here. Any of the touch points, you can click on print a blank touch point, and it's fairly straightforward. You click on the link, and this is a listing of the touch points, and what you would do is you would just pick the one that you want, and in this case I'll just choose service activity and funding stream. It's the most popular, it's the longest one. And then it will pop up and it will have every single question that is in the service activity and funding stream touch point. So you can email this out if you need to, and again, you can export this as an Excel file or a PDF or whatever. And one thing I'd like you to know too with the blank touch points, they show every single question. So some of them won't be applicable to you. So for example, if I go to the next page, you'll see that this is quite long. It's 33 pages long, but that's only because it shows every single question in here. And the way ETO is designed when you're in the system is that if something doesn't apply, you won't see the questions that are associated with it. Like if you're recording family counts, you're not going to see the individuals and the children. So that's why it looks like it's a little bit long. Okay. So again, just printing any blank touch point, exporting it, and there you have the blank touch points. Okay, leave that page. Any questions before we move on to the next section? Okay. Okay, so I do see some hands raised. I think I might have addressed those. I don't see any new questions in the question box, so I'll just go ahead and move on. And again, if you have a question, just go ahead and type it in and I'll sort of peek over there and see if there's anything new. All right. So next I'd like to show you the navigating the dashboards. So there's two dashboards. There is a My Dashboard, which is sort of at the top of the screen. And then there's a county dashboard, which shows you all of the data entered by any user. So I'm going to show you how to navigate between those two. Now, it doesn't matter if you enter information on the My Dashboard page or the county dashboard page. It doesn't really matter. Everything is linked together. So if you enter it on one versus the other, the data still gets recorded in the appropriate spot. The way to tell the difference is the My Dashboard page has the little buttons that we were just showing, you know, the printing buttons and things like that. The county dashboard does not have the print buttons, and it will show you the name of the county in the upper area right under the search bar in the green kind of menu bar at the top. So I'll show you how to switch between the My Dashboard and the county dashboard. There's actually several ways to do it. I recommend using the quick search bar, but that's just me. I think it's a little bit easier. So the quick search is right up here by my number 1. You type in your name, you click search. Now the second way, which can be a lot faster, is once you've entered some touch points and you might see your county name with a little line under it, you just click that and it'll take you right to that county dashboard. And it doesn't matter what touch point you're on, clicking on the county name will take you to the county touch point. And then if you click on this new button here under any of the touch points, it'll sort of give you a list of all the counties, and then you have to pick the county. So it's sort of a little extra step. That's why I prefer just going to the quick search and typing in the county dashboard that you'd like to view. So I'll show you how to do that. Back on My Dashboard, so my recommendation, if you have a link, of course, that's the easiest way. I should make that clear. So if I click here, because it's a link, it says Fake County. You can see that when I point to it, it gives me that little finger here. I click on it, and now you can see I'm on the Fake County dashboard. So regardless of who entered the touch point, anybody in the last 5 years, it's going to show here. Okay. I'm going to go back to my dashboard just so I can show you the other way. So then if you don't have any links on your dashboard, the other way is to just go ahead and click here in the upper left corner under Quick Search. I'll type in Los Angeles, and I click search. And here I'll get this little link. It asks me, well, do I want to view the dashboard or view and record touch point? I recommend always using the dashboard. It's just easier, and everything you need to enter is on this screen, just as it is on the My Dashboard page. And you'll see that it takes a moment to load. And again, the more information you have on your dashboard, the longer it sort of takes to load. So I chose LA just for that reason, lots of data. So here you can see there's different names here, okay? They've agreed to the terms and conditions touch point. Scrolling down is the county need touch point. If there's more than one page, typically there will be a number 2 here at the bottom that you can scroll and see additional information. And then we have the service activities and funding streams, and you can see there's lots and lots of pages here. If I wanted to click through and see, I could. But again, this is just a snapshot. It's not every single question. It just gives you a overview. And they do go by most recently recorded. So you don't have to worry about, well, gosh, how do I see which is the most current? It's always going to be by date completed up here. So the last time a service activity and funding stream touch point for this particular county was completed on 9/26 of 2017. And here are just some basic, information, okay? Scrolling down a little bit more, we have the Child Abuse Prevention Council, we have CAP Month, we have County Children's Trust Fund, we have general information, and then we have county allocations. This is something that I, as the ETO administrator, upload for you. It's just for informational purposes to see the funding that you were allocated for a specific year. And then down at the very bottom, county contact information. Okay. And on that check sheet I showed you that was on the website, this can be a really good starting point to print that out, check off the boxes, go through that. It tells you what you need to do, each year, or what's just kind of an FYI, or what's sort of as needed basis. Okay. So I have a question here. So if someone else completes the report for our county last year, but we have a new user this year, the new user will be able to see last year's data and report. Absolutely. Not on their dashboard, but they can go to the county dashboard and see any information, and they can also run the report and see any information as well. Okay, so everybody can see the data. It's just the My Dashboard page, which I've just clicked back on. It just helps you focus on your data. That's really the only difference. If you just want to say, what am I putting in, that's where you want to go. Okay, but you can see the other data as well. Okay, so navigating the dashboard. Does everybody get that? I'll click on this new button here just to kind of show you what happens if you click new. And it doesn't, if you're in terms and conditions or county need, these are the names of the touch point. So if I'm in service activity and funding stream and I don't have anything here and I click new, what's going to happen here is it's going to give me a list of counties. So I would select my county. In this case, I'll choose Fake. And up here at the top, it says, okay, I'm going to be creating a new touch point for service activity and funding stream. I could change it if I wanted to, but if not, I just hit continue. And it'll open up a new blank service activity and funding stream touch point. Okay, so that's just what happens when you click on the new button. It just sort of takes you, you have to select the county, you have to select the touch point, as opposed to just entering it from the dashboard or from the county dashboard. I'm going to cancel out of this. All right, so navigating the dashboard. Any questions before I move on to that section, or the next section, which we're going to talk about how to actually record, edit, and save a touch point. Okay. All right, so if I'm going to enter in a new touch point, now I've kind of placed these touch points sort of strategically in ETO as opposed to sort of the most important ones. Not that they're all not important, but just kind of in an order that I think makes sense. You can definitely do your own thing and enter them in any order you want. One thing we do want to make sure is that everybody does accept the terms and conditions each year. So terms and conditions, now let's say that you wanted to enter and, accept terms and conditions for this year. Now in this case, I already did, but if I wanted to just say, let's say I hadn't done this at all yet, you'll see these little take action buttons on the side. So this little eyeball means details. You can just look at it. You can't make any changes, but you can view it. You can update it, meaning change it. You can add a similar one, or you can delete it. So if this was, let's say it said 217 and I needed to do one for 2018 and I wanted to record a new touch point, the easiest way to do it, rather than clicking new, because then I'd have to choose my county again, I can just click on the little plus sign, add similar. Okay, and here's the touch point and what it looks like. So I would select the year. I could read this, type in your name, type your agree, etc. Now here where it says address, zip code, just wanted to point this out. If you enter in your zip code and then click the go button, it'll populate the county, state, and zip code for you. Okay, and then I would put in my phone number, my email address, and that's all you have to do for this one. Okay, there is a link right here. If you click on this, this will take you to that PDF document. If you wanted to read over it, print it out, etc., you can do that by clicking on the link, which will take you to our website. Okay, so I'm going to cancel that since I've already done the terms and agreements, and then move on to the next one. Now, county need, sometimes your county needs don't change over the years. So if you already have a list of county needs that you've identified, you don't really need to record this touch point. But in my case, since I'm sort of on this, I'm logged in as Karen Fake and my county is Fake County, I'm going to go ahead, and in this case I have no plus sign. I need to create a new one, so I could go up to Fake County and choose county need, but since I'm here, I'll just go ahead and click new. Since that's my only option, since I've never recorded one before, I'm going to go ahead and choose my county. County need is the touch point I'm recording, and then I'll click continue. So when I choose county need, I want to click on the drop-down box, and I'm going to say, okay, well, my county need is substance abuse. How was it identified? I'll choose my option here, describe how, and then you'll notice on some of these narrative questions, they're limited. It'll tell you approximately how many characters are allowed. And if I start typing, it'll tell me how many I have and how many I have left, okay? So then I can say, okay, well, when I'm done with this particular touch point, save as draft just simply means that maybe I don't have all the information. I want to come back and finish that at a later date. It saves it, but it just lets me know that I need to come back in and finish it. If I want to identify several needs at the same time, maybe if there's substance abuse and maybe it's also domestic violence, I can choose save and record similar, which will save the touch point that I just created and then allow me to select another one. Once I'm finished, I just hit save. Okay, and so everything that you enter in ETO is real time. I can run a report right now and this data would be included in my report. So once you're done with the touch point, you don't have to come back at any time and submit like you used to do with SurveyMonkey or anything like that. It's all real time. Saving it is the same as submitting it once you have all your information in. Okay, and now you can see that in my case on Fake County, I've completed 2 touch points on today's date, domestic violence and substance abuse. Okay, moving on to the next one. This is the service activity and funding stream. Now, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do a new touch point here. And then I'm going to show you how to pre-populate with a prior year. So what we don't want you to do is just change the date and say, well, we've done the same thing we've done last year to this year, so I'm going to take 2016 and 17 data and just update the date. Well, that won't work because that'll mess up the reporting. So what we want to do is we still have to create a new one. However, we can copy data from a previous year and pre-populate the year, and I'll show you how to do that. So in my case, I'm brand new with my service activity and funding stream. I'm going to click on new. Now, once again, because I haven't entered anything before, I want to choose my county, hit continue, and it's going to load a blank form. Okay. Now, since I've never done anything before, up here at the top where it says populate with previous response, when I click on this drop-down arrow, oh, I wonder what would happen if I did this one. I think I deleted it, but let me just see. Typically, if you have something, you can pick a date, like, oh, I've recorded it on these dates, but I really can't tell which one. So I'm going to choose one just to see. I get a pop-up that says it's going to replace any data. I'm going to click OK. Okay, it looks like it did copy over from, even though I didn't see it on my dashboard, and I think it's because I deleted it prior, but you can see that prior I had taken this one on 7/18 of 2018. It was probably some test data, but it pre-populated with information and referral. But again, a lot of these are blank. Maybe I didn't finish it or whatever, but if I had completed a lot of information, you would see it pre-populate in this area. Now, not every single question is going to pre-populate from last year because chances are the funding might be different, your service counts might be different, but for the most part, it will populate with most of the data from a previous touch point. So it looks like I have several to choose from. If I choose one from 6/7 of 2018, you'll see that it's going to replace any data that I might have entered previously. Okay. So that can be a really big time saver. Now, if I want to set an identifier, let's say this year I want to make it a little bit more obvious as to what this is. I can call this, I don't know, and maybe my initials, so that next time when I look at this list, I'll see substance abuse with my initials. So this is just kind of optional to make it easier to see when you pre-populate, other than just the name of the touch point and the date. You'll get an additional identifier, and you'll see that after I close out of this. Okay, so here we are, the service activity and funding stream. We're recording for 2017-18. I took out the other years just to make it less confusing. So that is the year we're reporting for. And even if you pre-populate with a previous year, you can override that. So if I thought, I don't know, substance abuse, it's not, I'm doing, you know, disability services or whatever, you can override anything that pre-populates. What I've done is whenever there's something kind of new or an additional request for information, or maybe I've worded something in ETO, I've put this little note here in blue as sort of a tip to help you guys. So here it says, note, when entering program name, please use the same language from program description from your SIP. It's located in the general touch point. Now, if you have printed out your annual report summary, you could always copy that from the Excel file and just paste it in here so you don't have to go back and forth. The general touch point is another touch point in ETO. And again, it's just the same language from your SIP, so you can copy paste. You cannot, unfortunately, pre-populate an ETO touch point with a different touch point information, okay? So it has to be within the same touch point. Okay, so you would type that in, and again, just copy and paste it from either the report, or if you go into your general touch point, you can copy and paste it from there. We want to know if it's evidence-based or evidence-informed. Okay, so if you click one, it'll show you a little helper in blue. So it's either evidence-based, evidence-informed. And again, a note, let's say you don't know if it is or isn't. There's some little helpers. Save as draft. You can visit the CEBC website. You can call your P&D consultant. So we want to know for sure if it is, isn't, or if it's not. Then what the name of it is, and then the program activity description. Okay. If it's provided by one or multiple, if it's one, what is the name of that provider? If it's multiple, enter the number of estimated providers for this service. Okay. Going down to collaboration, this actually used to be in a different location. I just moved it over. So what you want to do here is in the following section, you just want to list your collaboration efforts as it relates to preventing child abuse and neglect. And you can choose all that apply. So you would just make your selections. If you choose other, you'll see that other pops up a box, and then you would just explain what those are. Anytime you see a little red asterisk, that means that it is a required field. Now, if I tried to save this right now without entering data for a required field, you'll see this yellow box. It says, okay, there's a problem. Estimated providers and evidence-based population. Doesn't really tell you what page it's on because there's several pages in this particular touch point. So you just kind of have to go through and make sure that all of these are answered that are required. Now, if you don't know and you need to come back, you can always choose, and here's one. It says, you know, this requires an answer, so I could go ahead and put that in. But then here, If it's 25, we want to know your main providers. Now, if you have 100 providers, you don't have to list 100, but just your main ones, and you can put them in that box. Now, let's say you don't know them all right now. You have the option to do Save as Draft. Save as Draft will allow you to save your data without losing anything and kind of close out of this touch point so that you can come back later and fill that in. If you click Save, it's just going to keep giving you those error messages. So pointing something out, I just did a Save as Draft, and now if I'm back on my dashboard, I can see that I started this one, and you can see that it has a status of draft. And now that's a visual clue. Okay, well, I've got to go back in and finish entering the data. So now let's say I want to edit this. I didn't finish. I got my service providers. I want to go back in and edit this or make some changes. You would do that by clicking on the pencil, this little update. Now, if for some reason you don't see a pencil, you probably are going to be on the county dashboard, and you can only edit or delete touch points that you have created. Okay, so if you don't see the icons, it means that you are not the originator of that touch point. So you'll only see them if you yourself have created them. Okay, so I went back into edit, and here I go. I'm just going to kind of continue on. I'll just put some data in the required and kind of continue on with my my touch points. Okay, so show the nature of collaboration. So again, this is just kind of information that used to be in the general touch point. You can check all that apply. We want to know in more detail how you collaborate. We want to know about joint funding, etc. So based on your selections up here, collaborative, meeting, and joint, you would fill in these two explanation sort of narratives. If I chose another one, again, it's going to ask you to give a little bit more detail, which helps us in our federal reporting. Okay. If I uncheck that, it goes away. Okay, so that's what I was saying. When you print out the blank touch point, all of these will show. So it does look a little bit daunting, but just remember, only ones that you select are going to affect what pops up in ETO. Okay, all right. So going down to the bottom of this page, I'm going to click Next Page. Now, Next Page, these are all the tabs at the top. Okay, so same as clicking on these tabs is the same as going down at the bottom and clicking Next Page. Now, one thing I wanted to point out, because I chose to pre-populate from a previous year, I see CBCAP is already here and evidence-based practice. But let's say this year I didn't use any CBCAP dollars. If I uncheck that, those two tabs go away. So just note that if you choose CBCAP funding, there are extra requirements that you need to complete. If not, they don't show up. Okay, the reason they were here, like I said, is because last year I pre-populated and I had CBCAP selected. Okay, but if I didn't do it, I just uncheck it and it goes away. So I'm going to go ahead and enter in just some demonstration data, picking my funding streams and just entering in some data here. Okay. Whenever you see kind of these grayed out boxes here, this is just an auto calculate button for PSSF funds, so it'll total everything up. OCAP funding totals everything up. If I had any additional funding, I can choose that and type in the amounts. Okay, and again, it'll show that data. We want to know if there's a financial sustainability plan. Yes, no, maybe. Would it continue to invest? Yes or no. And again, I go to the next page. Okay. So service counts. This is a little bit new this year, as I mentioned previously. Service counts. Well, of course, we want to know what languages are being provided for the program or service, so you can check those that apply. And just, by the way, this information helps us. Like when we created like the safely surrendered baby materials and things like that, we really use these data to, figure out, well, what languages would, counties like to see these materials in. So really everything we're asking you guys for is really important so that we can better serve you. So just thought I'd give that a little plug. All right, so new demographic data. It's not new, it's just a little bit different. So in the section below, please choose one option for this service: children, family, or parents. Okay, so if you choose children, these are the categories. So we have children without disabilities, children with, and that's what you put in. Okay, it'll calculate that for you. And also by race, okay? If you choose parents or caregivers, it's the same deal. So we want to know without disabilities or with disabilities, and then it'll add this up. We also want to know if there's any insight to any increase or decrease in service counts. So again, if you print out that annual summary report, that will help you because it'll show you what you entered previously, and you don't have to go back and do a lot of research. You can say, well, last year for this service, we served this amount of families. This year it's a little bit lower, and then you can fill out, okay, well, why is it lower, or what the case may be. And then we have families, and then it's a little bit shorter form. So I'm going to put in some test data here just so I can show you something on the next screen. So I've got some data. So in this case, I have 403 families served, and then again, increase or decrease as to if they were higher or lower. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go to the next page. Activity outcome. Which service addressed which county need. Now, if you don't see anything here, it's because this is actually a cross tab. In an earlier touch point, remember when I recorded 2 county needs that I identified? And so for this particular touch point, I'll say substance abuse. If I don't have anything here or it's not listed, I'd have to save as and go back and record that in my county need touch point. That's what this green sort of note is. Just a reminder that if you're not seeing it, it's because you didn't put it in. It sort of pre-populates from that earlier touch point. So I select that, and then I choose my outcome. What is my outcome? How was it measured? Now, how many families achieved this outcome? Now, if you remember, I had 403 families I said earlier that I served. So let's say that I put in here 250. When I click on this box, it will automatically calculate the percentage for me. So again, this figure I type in here comes from the previous page where it says service counts. Okay, so down here 403 is what I put in. So it looks at that to calculate the percentage. So obviously if I say, oh, they all achieved the outcome, and I click in the box, then it's 100%. So I just wanted to point out that's where this calculation comes from. And there is a note here that sort of tells you the methodology to reach that touch point. Okay, and then enter the name of the assessment tool, etc. Any challenges, yes or no. Any benefits, yes or no. We also have a spot where if you would like to share any photos that we could use or media links in our report or county spotlights, it can be really cool. So we can share your success stories or even your challenges. Maybe somebody else is going through the same thing. And then we have some other narratives, success story, any additional comments that you might add, etc. Okay. Target population is the next tab. So we just want to know child welfare category. Those are our choices. What percentage was non-CWS, just putting some data in, and then target population. Okay. Now, if I did not use any CVCAP funds. These 2 tabs would not show, but I did, so I have to fill out these 2 extra little worksheets here. So again, nothing new, but if you're new to ETO, this is required for CVCAP dollars. So I click on the tab, and we want to know if it's evidence-based or evidence practice. And this tab is CVCAP only, okay? I know we asked this question earlier, but it's for any funding. We're asking specifically for CVCAP only related data on this tab, okay? So we have a little disclaimer here, again, as in the previous page. If you don't know, visit the CEB website. If you don't know that it's evidence-based, etc. And then we'd like you to confirm, look, I searched it, I contacted my county consultant, I still don't know, etc. And in that case, you can just say yes if you don't know. Okay. Then we'd like to know for CVCAP only how many children were served, how many families, and how many parents. Okay. Name of the program. And then how was client satisfaction measured? Again, CVCAP only. Any special populations that are targeted with some or all of your CVCAP funded programs. An example to promote culturally competent, relevant programs. Any opportunities for parent leadership. Collaborations. And describing how the CVCAP lead agency will implement activities. Okay. All right, next tab and last tab for this particular touch point, the evidence practices check sheet. Okay, so the name of the program that you're practicing or evaluating, indicate if there's a logic model, CVCAP lead agency, how it's handling child maltreatment. And these are just narratives, describe any important factors. And then down below we get to the check sheet. So I won't read all these directions to you, but basically it's a self-assessment, and all you need to do is answer these questions. And again, nothing is new here, but if you're new, what this is, it's basically a list of 17 different program characteristics. And it shows you one question at a time. You read it, answer yes or no, and it will automatically calculate your level. So I'm just answering some random yeses, and then I'll answer no at some point. I won't go through all. Basically, if you answer all 17 with a yes, you're going to get a level 4, which is the best. So right now I stopped at, I'm going to say no on question 11. So my rating for this CVCAP program is a level 2. Okay. And then if you have a logic model, upload here, mail to OCAP, PND, and then you're done with this one touch point. Now, if you have another service category, this one was substance abuse, I believe, but let's say you offer domestic violence as well, you have to record another one for each service that you provide. I'm going to click on Save now. Oh, I missed a required question. I'll have to find that. One more. That's not very helpful that it doesn't tell you. I'm going to go back real quick too to the service counts, because there was a question that came in. Let's see, service count. How would you record if the service were for children and adult, but the services were not given as a family service? I'm going to pass that over. I'm not quite sure. Maybe, I think, Rochelle, if you're on the line, if you can unmute maybe. Let me see if she's still here and answer that question. If not, we'll definitely get you the answer. I'm looking to see if I muted her. Oh, let me unmute. Are you there?
Okay. Yes, I am.
Okay. Yes. Great. Can you help with this question?
Yeah, it would depend on the service activity, like for instance, parent education, we would suspect that parent education would be, you would tally up the parents' success rate. So it depends on the service. If you can reach out to one of us to kind of help guide you in that, because we do understand that this is slightly new demographics, but it's just giving a clearer picture of what you're already assessing. So it just depends, but like I said, parent education, it'd be the parents and or caregivers would be most likely the service population you're targeting.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so yeah, I guess it could too be just sort of a, maybe more detail is needed, and if ever you're unclear about something like that, please feel free, to reach out to your P&D consultant as well, but we're always here to help you, okay? All right, so I'm going to go ahead, and it looks like I missed some question, but rather than go back through it, I'll just go ahead and hit Save as Draft. But typically, you would want to make sure that all your questions are answered and then save your touch point. Okay? So now if I'm back to my dashboard, you can see here it's still in draft status. If I went back in, made an edit, and saved it, this would go away. So you would know what's a draft and what isn't. And then you can see that I put in, okay, here's my total funding. Here's my funding streams that I used. So one thing is, if you notice that you have CBCAP in this area right here, you should definitely have this leveled, because if it's empty, that means that you have not done that required checklist. Okay, so level 2 says, oh, okay, I did my checklist, so it's just another quality control. I did families. So again, just a quick overall snapshot. Okay. And another question came in too from, his name's Gilbert. He had the service question count, and it's like counseling. So this service is used for both children or parents. So I think that was the clarifying. I don't know if you can address that. If it's counseling for would it be like a group of children or in a group of parents and not both? So I think that might be the question.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So for instance, in counseling where you're doing both, are you counseling families separately? Because then I would potentially do a family count and like, it depends. I would probably need more information, unfortunately, just to get a clearer picture of how we can possibly help guide you in the counting process, because we understand individuals was an option last year. So if you would like to send whoever the P&D consultant is a little information about the service activity, we can give you more clear instructions on what service count would be most appropriate and how to go about doing that easily as possible.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we'll follow up. And I know a lot of times there are situations that come up where it's not just a black and white, and there are special circumstances. So we'll definitely get you better information, asking more questions. So thank you for that question. I'm sure other people have the same one. And if you do not know who your P&D consultant is, again, I'll be posting all this information at the end of the webinar and online as well. Okay. So before I move on, we have a few minutes left, and I'm going to whiz by the next couple of touch points. The service activity and funding stream is really the longest one. The other ones are fairly easy. I do want to just quickly go over them, but if there are any questions now about the service activity and funding stream, about evidence-based, about the check sheet, if you want to go ahead and ask those. And also, I'll be more than happy to stay on the line after 11:30, and I can unmute you guys and see if there's any more specific questions. But for the folks that are kind of mid-road, I do want to cover the rest of the touch points really quickly, okay? So if there's nothing else on the service activity and funding stream, I'd at least like to give you a quick peek about the rest of the touch points here that need to be filled out. And there's really basically only the CAPC, the CAP month, County Children's Trust Fund, general information. The bottom two are like FYI, and county contacts just as needed. If there's a new county contact person, you can add that. If there's not, it's not required for the annual report. So the CAPC touch point, I'm going to go ahead and click new because I have never entered one before in my case. So I have to go kind of this long route. And the CAPC is pretty straightforward. So basically you would just put in the year, name of the CAPC. Again, type in a zip code, hit go. It'll populate the state and city and zip code, phone number, website, email. You want to indicate how it's organized. We have a drop-down list. And then the primary function. So you can select all that apply. Okay. If there's any other public agency, additional comments, and then upload any or email any photos. Now, if you have more than one CAPC, you can hit save and record similar. It'll save this current touch point and open a blank new form. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and hit save. Okay, and I'm going to click OK. All right, and now you'll see that I have a touch point entered for CAPC. Now let's say I prefer, all this time I've been working on the My Dashboard page. Remember, because I have these buttons at the top, maybe I just want to look, I want to work on the county dashboard because maybe I want to see at a glance what somebody else has entered. So I'm just going to switch over to the other dashboard just so you can see the difference. So in my case, I'm going to go to Fake County so that I don't mess up anybody's data. And again, I choose the Fake County dashboard. And now you'll notice there's people's names here. When I'm on the My Dashboard page, I don't see recorded by because it's all me. And here it's still all me because nobody really has entered anything other than myself or maybe the admin. But you'll notice there's different names and there's more information. You can see, in fact, in the service activity and funding stream, you can see that there's additional information entered on from somebody else. And I think that's in hindsight where that pre-populated data came from when I thought, oh, I didn't enter anything. But you can pre-populate data even if somebody else entered it. So I think that's what those dates were showing, okay, before. So now back into, you can see that I entered in information for the CAPC. And now I'm on the Child Abuse Prevention CAP month. Okay, so again, I have nothing here, so I have to choose new. But if I had information in this section, I could just click on any one of the plus signs. It doesn't matter which line item it might be on. It's all the same. It's just add similar. But since I don't have anything, I have to go ahead and click on this new button. Okay. Now, because I'm on the county dashboard, notice I'm on Fake County. I don't have that extra step. I'm already in the county dashboard, so now I can just add some data. I don't have to click my county and then hit continue like I did before. Okay. So I select my year, and it just wants some numbers about some activity with regards to CBCAP funded activities. There's only a couple required questions in this one, but you can see door-to-door outreach, events, etc. Again, these asterisks, publications, I'll just put some demo data in here, social media, whatever that might look like. It gives me a total estimate here, some narrative questions, and then what types of activities. So again, just check all that apply. And then some narrative to describe one activity carried out by your county. I'm going to leave that blank for now. If I had more than one, again, what is Child Abuse Prevention Month? Save and record similar. I'm done, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit save. Okay. And that information will show up on the dashboard, regardless of who entered it. Okay. So it can be helpful to work on the county dashboard. You don't have to go and click that long list of, choosing your county each time. You will see other people's information, which can kind of be helpful, I guess. So if you're on the right page, you can see what they did last year. So it might be a good practice to enter data on here. It's really up to you. All right, County Children's Trust Fund. I'm going to click on New. I get right to the page because I'm already on the dashboard. What I did is I took out, before I used to ask some other questions like kids plate, gifts, bequests, things like that. We really don't use that data for anything. So I took it out, and really the only thing we need that we collect actually at this point are birth certificate fees. We use that to calculate the kids plate allocation for you guys. So it's really, really important that you fill this in. That's why it's required. I'm going to hit save and easy peasy. Okay, so that's your birth certificate, and that's the only thing you'll have to do this year for that one. And again, it shows in your dashboard. And then the last touch point required for the annual report is general information. And now here, I have already recorded one. It has the date. It was recorded by admin. Even though I'm not admin, I'm on the county dashboard, and you'll notice I don't see the delete and I don't see the edit button. And remember what I said prior, I'm not the OCAP admin, so I cannot make any edits. I can look at it and I can add another one, but because I didn't record it, I don't get those icons. But I can add a new one. So I'm going to click this Add Similar, and it opens up a blank touch point. And here is where you would enter in your SIP cycle. Typically, I believe it's like a 5-year plan. So you would put that information in. It has a little calendar, or you could just type in the dates yourself if you wanted to. I'm just putting in whatever dates, what fiscal year you're reporting this. And then we ask if you have describe your parent involvement. Okay, so just some narrative questions here. We ask about risk factors. Okay, so I'm just choosing some random stuff and some narrative. We have differential response. Just some yes, no, so not too bad. And then CBCAP rollover, if there's any rollover, yes, if so, how much? And any comments as to maybe why or whatever the case may be. And then you can just simply click Save. So that's all you would have to do for the annual report. So just remember, though, that each service you would record its own separate touch point. So that's why you'll see several maybe that are taken on the same day or different service categories, things like that. All right, so I know I blew by those last pretty quickly. I'm wondering if anybody has any questions about any of the touch points that I've gone through before you guys log off. Okay. See, so I don't see any questions coming in. So what I'd like to do is just kind of paste that post survey link in the chat bar, and if you would be so kind, let me see if I can put that link. Sorry guys. That link to the post survey, which will help determine if this was helpful for you at all. Let's see, I'm going to open up this chat. All right. So before, I wanted to thank you all first off for logging in and taking the time for the presentation today. And if you have any questions or follow-ups, or if you would like a one-on-one demonstration with me, please feel free to email me or contact me. And please take that follow-up survey. That would be super helpful. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for attending. Hope I got all your questions answered. And have a great day. I'll be doing another webinar next month, I believe, but if you want one earlier than that, please reach out. I'd be happy to help you one-on-one. And have a great day. I'm going to hang out on the line. I'm going to unmute everybody, and so you can ask more specific questions. But for those of you that are logging off, thank you again.